conversion moment. And I saw Jesus Christ there, beckoning me to go to Notre Dame. And I looked at Jesus and I swore to him, I will score a touchdown in this end zone, Jesus, because I know that's what you want from me. And I turned to Lou Holtz and I told him my vision, tears in my eyes. And he said, yes. I said, yes. He said, yes. I said, yes, Jesus. And then I go home. My parents greet me at the airport and I am singing the Notre Dame anthem. And they had to call in psychologists from all around the country to deprogram their son. And it wasn't until my parents showed me that Stanford University played Notre Dame at South Bend, Indiana 2 times in my 4 years that I would be there, that I conceded with my parents and I would go to Stanford Cardinal football. And I got ready my freshman year, my sophomore year, we flew to South Bend, Indiana. I was number 98 on the depth chart below every other receiver there was. And I'm telling you right now, during the game, I stood closer to the coach than ever because I wanted him to make a mistake and send me in. And never in my life, please forgive me, have I prayed for the injury of other players on my team. Please, just take out a knee, God. And then 2 years later, it's my senior year. But the things have changed. Stanford wasn't doing that hot. We weren't even ranked in the top 100 in the country. And Notre Dame was ranked #1 in the nation. And we were flying to South Bend, Indiana. They said we would lose 50-0. We wouldn't even see the red zone in that game. And I'll never forget our coach when he got us to the locker room before that game. He said, this is an impossible task that we are trying to take on. Everyone will tell you, we can't win. But as long as there is breath in the human species, the potential for the impossible to be achieved will always exist. And we have something going for us. Each and every one of you, individually stacked up against another one of those players, probably won't cut. But as a team, together, brother to brother, heart to heart, spirit to spirit, blood to blood, we can manifest the impossible. And we went out there, through the tunnel, into the arena, and they scored on us on their first possession. But we scored our possession. And it went back and forth like that. They would score, we would score. And then something happened at the end of the game. The coach called a play to me, a little dump to the tight end. Now, I caught that dump, and I'm telling you, for those of you who ever played me in any sport, hockey or basketball, I've only got one move. It's the Booker backside fake. If it's a basketball court or the football field, I throw my backside left, and I run right. And I turned to go up at a man named Todd Light. He was an All-American quarterback, comes at me, and he must have not watched the films, because when I threw the backside left, he followed the backside. And now I'm running towards Jesus. Nobody's in front of me. And I'm sprinting out. Now, when you have these moments in your life, everything stops. You can't hear anything but your heartbeat beating. And I felt Jesus Christ beckoning me to him. 4 years I had been dreaming of Jesus Christ. And I tell you, just when I was about 5 or 10 yards from the sweet Savior, I got tackled from Mount Spine by some jerk with the name Michael Stonebreaker. Drags me out of bounds. Rips me from the womb. And I'll never forget the moment. I get up saying words my mama would be ashamed of hearing. And I stand up, and it was an entire stadium full of green and gold, except for about 20,000 fans, all red and white, including my dad who flew for the game. And I stand up, the whole stadium's silent, because this is our go-ahead touchdown. I throw my arms up in the air, and almost as if commanding 20,000 people to stand to their feet, the Stanford section goes wild. I just stood there and stood there until one of the linemen said, "Get your butt back to the huddle." I tried to push him off. This was my moment. Go back to the huddle. We score a touchdown. A guy named Tommy Vardell, he got his nickname. He scored 4 touchdowns in the game. Touchdown Tommy, scored the touchdown. We won the game. We're in the locker room. We shower. My dad is there. Cameras. One of the highest moments of my athletic career. We're on the plane now, and the coach grabs that microphone and says, "I told you come together with love and conviction, there is nothing you cannot achieve. Now, that is a football game. We are all engaged in a higher calling and a higher purpose. We are part of this vast experiment in humanity. Imagine this. We're the oldest constitutional democracy on the globe. This nation that was formed not because we all look the same, pray the same, it's not a monarchy or theocracy. We were formed on ideals. This nation formed by the highest aspirations of humanity. And as my mom used to tell me, it was formed with perfect ideals, but a savagely imperfect reality. But the history of this country is the history of people coming together under unimaginable circumstances to do things that others said were impossible. This is the story of America. It's not this rugged individualism, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. No! When they stormed beaches in Normandy, human to human, side by side, when they were on freedom rides or even barn raisings and rent parties, we as a community pulled together. Now what frustrates me now more than ever in our nation, in my lifetime, is the fact that too many people have lost this perspective. They've lost this belief that we are the nation of impossible dreams. That we in many ways, as Elijah called, a light unto other nations. We have begun to have this toxic resignation towards what is, and not a bold imagination of what can be. Vision is so critical. I learned that as a young man, still a law student, when I first moved onto a street in Newark, New Jersey called Martin Luther King Boulevard. Now, Newark has incredible communities of strength and community, but this was a tough neighborhood I moved into purposefully because I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to be involved in a struggle. I took up a residence there, and people told me across the streets in the high-rises there, some affordable housing, they said, you want to make a difference, you've got to go meet this amazing woman. She's a tenant president. You got to go work with her. And I'm a young man at that point. I'm at Yale Law School, really high on myself, and didn't remember the words of my mother and grandmother on my graduation from Stanford University, which they said, boy, never forget you can learn more from a woman on the 5th floor of the projects than you ever can from one of these fancy professors. Well, lo and behold, Miss Virginia Jones, a tenant president of Brick Towers, lived on the 5th floor of the projects. I go up and knock on her door, and in my best John Wayne invitation, when she opens it up, I said, hello, ma'am. I'm Cory Booker, Yale Law School, I'm here to help you. And she looks at me like I am crazy. And she says, what? I said, well, ma'am, I'm going to be a lawyer soon. I just moved across the street, and I'm here to help you. And she closes her door, looks at me hard, says, you want help? Follow me. I said, okay. And she walks me down 5 flights of stairs, through the courtyard of the building, into the middle of Martin Luther King Boulevard, and she wheels around, she stares me hard in the face, and she says, describe what you see around you. I said, what do you mean? She goes, describe what you see. And I did just that. I described the high-rises, the graffiti, an abandoned building that had a drug activity going on, and I described what I saw. And the more I talked, the more this woman was just shaking her head, looking frustrated at me. And I finished speaking, and she just says, you never helped me, and she walks away from me. I run after her, I catch her on the side of the road, I said, ma'am, I don't understand, what are you talking about? And she looks at me hard in the face, and she says, boy, you need to know something. That the world you see outside of you will always be a reflection of what you have inside of you. And if you're one of those people who only sees darkness and despair and problems, that's all there's ever going to be. But if you're one of those people who, no matter what you do, when you open your eyes, you see hope and opportunity, you see possibilities, you see love and the face of God, then you'll be one of those people that can help me. She storms off, leaving me there thinking to myself, okay, grasshopper, thus ended the lesson. I went back and started working with her, and she and I just would talk and talk. I would sit there and bear witness to these elderly women, these older women in this building, and what they would do together. They would take a basement in our building and transform